You're listening to the Peasinner Network. For more great podcasts, go to peasinner.com.au.
Spoiler alert. I mean, honestly, if you listen to this podcast, spoilers.
Spoilers.
Hello. Hello, Doctor. I see you've regenerated. I like it. All girls together.
That's the woman who took Bertram.
Oh, Missy, I am very disappointed in you.
Oh, I aim to displease. Have I let you down? Have I let the Academy down? But most of all, have I let myself down?
People of the universe, please attend carefully. The message which follows is of vital importance to you all. We present to you a case study of one of the most dangerous minds in the universe. A history of the lives and times of the renegade Time Lord known as the Master.
Call me Master.
The choice is simple. Join us and continue listening, or face total annihilation.
Listen.
They are the Master, and you will obey them.
You will obey me.
Please attend carefully. Hello and welcome to Please Attend Carefully, the Doctor Who podcast about the most magisterial of malefactors. I'm Ciarán Moffatt.
And I'm Amber Patrick.
And each week we bring you a chapter from the lives and times of the renegade Time Lord, known universally as the Master. This week we'll be looking at The Lumiat, which is a 2020 Big Finish audio story from the anthology Missy Series 2, written by Lisa McMullin. Amber, tell us, what is it about?
Well, Missy is causing mayhem, hoping to attract the attention of the Doctor, who will then fly in to save the day. However, she draws the attention of another do-gooder Time Lord that insists they're not the Doctor. After much convincing, Missy realizes that the woman is a future version of herself, stripped of evil, now calling herself the Lumiat.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's dive straight into this. This is great. It's two masters for the price of one.
Yeah, so this is half a Missy episode as well.
Okay, so the Lumiat couldn't have gone up against any other master. Like, the Lumiat and Missy have to go together.
Because they are two sides of the same coin. Well, no, not even really. This is the master's Valeyard, but good.
Yeah, exactly. So they even say that. Like, she even says, you know, the Valeyard. And just like the Valeyard, it's a made-up word. Mm-hmm. I love, like, Doctor Who in the 80s tried to convince us that Valeyard was an old legal term for a legal counsel. It's not. It's just it's a word they made up.
Remember the Valeyard?
Yes.
Yes, all that rage, all that pain, all that hatred.
He was magnificent. What's your point?
Imagine the opposite of that and apply it to yourself. Consider the Master without rage, without pain, without shadow.
Wash your mouth out.
Yeah, so Missy and the Lumiat have similar speech patterns, although they're obviously playing different characters. They are the same character. That's why they play off so well together. And also, I think any other master would just dismiss her and...
Yeah. So I think it's probably worth, even though it's sort of skipping ahead to the story, I think it's worth pointing out. So at the end of World Enough and Time, I believe it is, where Missy and the Saxon Master kill each other. And you know that the Saxon Master is going to regenerate into Missy, but she can't regenerate. He's killed her in a way that means that she can't regenerate.
Yeah.
And so that leads straight into where this story comes from. So she's tried to use an Elysian field, which is one of those amazing, like, honestly, it's very Stephen Moffat-ish. Like, it is very Stephen Moffat.
Let's take something from Greek
mythology and then turn it on its head. And like the word, like, Lisa McMullin is a brilliant writer. I absolutely adore it.
Yes, I really loved her writing in these.
Yeah, so she uses this field to try and start a new regenerative cycle.
Yes, but this is also apparently a banned thing for Time Lords.
Time Lords say there's no, nix, none of that.
Yes, because it makes you regenerate, yes, even if you're at the end of your cycle.
Yep.
And it just rips you apart, basically, and it's incredibly painful.
Yeah. This story has a wonderful sort of duality to it. So Missy is doing all these things to try and attract the Doctor's attention. Whether at the beginning, whether she realizes it or not. So we meet her on this planet, and what had started out as quite a nice picnic has turned into a war.
Yes, over sausage rolls and potted meat sandwiches.
Yeah, she has a companion. You love it when the Master has a companion.
Well, this one's different, but yes.
Bertram.
Bertram.
Can I go back now? No, you can't.
Long-suffering Bertram, constantly being threatened to be turned into a lollipop.
So Missy is doing these things, and the Lumiat turns up. The Lumiat's characterization is beautiful in that it is kind of an evil person's view of good.
Yeah,
she's a primary school teacher, is what she is.
Yeah, that's
Fingers
true.
on lips.
Yes, that's very true. I do think that the actress plays this part exactly the way that this part should be played. It's 100% got the brief, nailed it.
Yep.
Yeah. No notes.
Played by the actress Gina McKee.
Unless you want to take a turn.
The only way I'm carrying Paddington is skinned and turned into a handbag.
Oh, look at his little face. Couldn't you just squish it all up?
In a vice.
It is beautiful. Like, all the story beats are great. It's basically a romp, like Missy starts causing havoc to try and get the Lumiat to come and fix things. The Lumiat stops like a meteor shower, and Missy drops off a whole bunch of flesh-eating rats, and then the Lumiat turns up with cyber cats.
Yeah, I do love this intro to the Lumiat showing up, because it's hard to know whether or not the Lumiat is intentionally cleaning up messes that Missy is making, or if the Lumiat is just doing good and coming to these places that need help, and then gets perturbed that's Missy doing this and leaves because Missy's annoyed because the Lumiat will never hang around to talk about anything, and Missy is convinced this is the Doctor.
She is, and this shows a lot about their relationship. The Master wants the Doctor to hang around. The Master is always trying to get the Doctor's attention.
Yeah, that's where the fun and games are.
Yeah, exactly. And at the same time, if we look at the Lumiat as a Master, it is, again, we've talked about this a lot before, the Master trying to be the Doctor.
Yeah. The
Albeit-
Lumiat says in this episode, imitation's the highest form of flattery.
Yeah.
Something to that effect.
Exactly. And then they sort of join forces to try and find the Doctor.
The Lumiat works out to find a doctor. You got to think like a doctor.
Yeah.
Where would they go? Oh, well, they'd look for distress signals and they'd follow them. So then the Lumiat and Missy start looking for distress signals.
Where's the first thing they do? The first one they do is they go looking for the last of a species.
They go to the Viking village.
Oh, that's right. They go to the Viking village. That's right. What's that wonderful line? Hey, Vikings, have you ever thought about putting horns on your helmets?
I like your axes. And it turns out they're not Vikings. They're actually an alien invader, I believe.
Yeah. How was I to know?
Yeah. Then they, the Lumiat hypnotizes them and sends them on their way to be good.
Yeah.
And so, then they move on because the Doctor didn't show up. Sorry, the Lumiat reverse psychologies. Well, even though Missy knows that she's being reverse psychology,
She's going to go along with it because it's what she wanted to do anyway.
yeah, so she ends up saving the people from these Vikings rather than just waiting for the Doctor to show up and save them. To prove that she could if she really wanted to.
Yeah. And so what? The next one is they find
bear.
the bear. Yeah, the bear cub.
Bertram.
Yeah, which she names Bertram after poor Bertram, who she did actually kill.
Yeah, she just murdered him.
Yeah. The Lumiat's trying to talk her down, and she just casually just kills Bertram to show that she's still Missy.
Yeah.
So they find the bear, which is hilarious.
It's got bright pink fur, and Missy wants to make it into a hat, and then she sees the mother bear, and she's like, oh, now we've got a matching coat.
Yeah. I will turn your paws into earmuffs.
This scene with the bear cub, in my mind, is the Lumiat at her most sickly good.
Yeah.
Like, the Lumiat does this little laugh in this scene that's just infuriatingly, sweet and a wholesome kind of laugh. Compared to what the Master's laugh is normally like, this little laugh is just like, oh, it's so good.
Yay!
And then she's also doing don't listen to the evil ickle woman, and it's like, oh, you're so sweet and I don't like it.
So this is the thing. We've burned through the story here, but I don't think the story is what really matters in this story. It is the characterization. It is them bouncing off each other. And even Missy says, even the Doctor's flawed.
Yeah.
Whereas the Lumiat is she is a primary school teacher. She is nice. Like, Missy played this chaotic Mary Poppins-ish character. This is someone who is just nice.
Yeah, it's part as well where Missy just can't foresee why she would go to this. Like, it's so like, why would I get to I do not want this at all. This is nothing. Like, this is not my future. It can't possibly be.
It's funny because we as viewers, listeners, you know, if you've seen the TV stories leading up to it, the whole thing is about the Doctor trying to teach Missy to be good.
Yeah.
So we do see it as a genuine possibility. Like, Missy does want to change.
Yeah, although I do want to talk about this because the continuity of where this sits is that the Lumiat says, I'm a time lady, and Missy says, oh, that's nice, I'll steal that.
Yeah.
But Missy uses that in the first meeting with 12.
Yeah, so I think this takes place before...
Yeah, so this is before 12 even, which is interesting. So she says he, and the Lumiat corrects it as she.
Yeah.
And Missy's like, potato, potato. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't
it
matter,
doesn't
for Time
matter
Lords,
and
yeah.
it doesn't matter. And then the Lumiat knows that Doctor is she for 13.
Yep.
And we assume that the Lumiat is between Missy and Spy Master.
I think that's where they're very much going with that.
Yeah. So interesting that the Lumiat knows about 13 already, but isn't the Spy Master yet.
But the Spy Master went and set up his whole thing
In the
knowing
shadows.
knowing that the Doctor was 13. Like, he knew who she was. So this makes sense. I mean, look,
I think it's interesting that the Lumiat has seen or knowledge of this female Doctor running around.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that adds to the wonderful mystery that the Lumiat has knowledge that we don't have, or definitely that Missy doesn't have, which is what you can do when you've got a time travel show and you make a show set in the past, so you can make it sound like you really knew what was going on. The interactions make this. They really do.
Temper, temper.
Think like a doctor, she said. Follow the cries for help, she said.
And?
And Homo sapiens are alive in the universe because I stopped them from being pillaged to death. I just saved a village of human beings.
Oh, you're my hero.
I am mortified.
A note I've written here: the Lumiat is children's television presenter. Nice.
Yeah. And yeah, no one's ever naughty.
Yeah.
Like with a primary school teacher, their class is perfect and they never have to raise their voice. Except we do actually get towards the end of this that the Lumiat steals Missy's TCE.
Yes. Well, there are all these wonderful little bits that get thrown out along the way. Like the fact that Missy says there's one moment where the Lumiat says a particularly cutting comment. And Missy's like, no, you said that to hurt me. You said that because you enjoyed saying it.
Yes, I've got it here. So the Lumiat says that you're always seeking out the Doctor. And Missy says yes, to torture him. And Lumiat replies, no, to be loved by him, always seeking to impress him, even with this magnificent TARDIS that you can't get to work.
Yep.
And then says, you do this to yourself. You actively choose this. And yeah, that's when Missy's like, ow, that hurt. And you wanted that to hurt. Like,
yeah. When you grow up and when you change as a person and you want to be a different person, if you were to be confronted by your younger self, it's just like, no, I'm telling you the home truth that I know because I'm you.
Yeah. I thought that part was really, striking. And there's more that we're going to discuss later as well with another part of the Lumiat story. But just, these truths that cut and that leave Missy guessing and in a sort of on the back foot because no one's ever spoken to her this way, because it's not like the Doctor ever says this to them. Like, maybe Riversong would if Riversong and Missy, they have met, actually.
They have met, yeah. Well, this is the thing. Like, the Master doesn't admonish himself. The worst that the Master would ever do, it would be to say, oh, well, that plan didn't work out, did it? Like, that's the worst that the Master would say to themselves.
Yeah, just try again.
Yeah, and the point I was going to make before was we find out in this story that the Lumiat was created by this Elysian field not because Missy wanted to get rid of all the evil and only be good, but because after the events of being with the Doctor, she wanted to get rid of all the good. She didn't want to feel anymore. She didn't want to feel the way she had been feeling up until that point.
Yeah, she acknowledges that the Lumiat's a mistake. She tried to do one thing but ended up with another, and that explains and justifies to her why this has happened. Whether or not that actually really is true is interesting, I think, but it's a great self-reflection, again, of the Master being so blind to the possibility that they might ever want to be good that they would dismiss it as, oh, this is a mistake. Your mistake.
The Lumiat herself says that on first glance it sounds like she wanted to be good, but no, she wanted to get all of her good out by using this Elysian field, and something went wrong.
You're not the Lumiat. You're a mistake. And one I will not make twice.
When the time comes, if you don't create an Elysian field, you will die.
I would rather.
So the thing about the Lumiat in this story is she's a very comic character, and you're never quite sure whether her goodness is goodness or whether it's, as I said, what a bad person thinks good is.
Yeah, you could never take this character seriously, and we will get to this, is that she's too nice to be a really fully fleshed out person. This isn't a personality. This isn't who you are. And you're hanging everything on your goodness, but that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So another thing we learned is that the Master TARDIS comes back.
So this does follow on directly from the events of Missy Series 1.
Yeah. So this Master TARDIS is meant to draw in and bring other TARDISes to the Master TARDIS, to Missy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work, or she can't find any. So that's why she's trying to look for the Doctor so that he'll help her fix it or figure out why it doesn't work.
Or basically, the reason she wants it to work is to find the Doctor in the first place.
Yeah.
She just wants to find. She just wants to find the Doctor. So Missy, where she is now, if this is before she meets the 12th Doctor, everything she does for the 12th Doctor in that first meeting, Darkwater, Death in Heaven, is because she says she does it for the Doctor because the Doctor saved her.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, the way it's written is that it's not just that the Doctor saved her. The Doctor saved Gallifrey, saved everyone, but the Master was on Gallifrey at the time.
Yeah.
And so Missy thinks that the Doctor's doing it all for her, which again is a kind of nice little, like the Master thinks that everything is about them.
Yeah, no bigger picture, like this action was because of me.
Of course she's interested. She's obsessed with me. You can't blame her. I'm hypnotic.
The story ends, well, I don't know if it does end. It leaves it on a wonderful cliffhanger. Missy kills the Lumiat. Missy forces the Lumiat to start regenerating.
Dumps her on an island?
Calls it, was it Beyond, Back of?
Yeah, that's right.
And just leaves her in the unfashionable end of the time-space continuum.
Yes, that's fantastic. Such a Missy, like, turn of a phrase as well.
Yeah. What we've got here with the Lumiat is we've got the introduction, the origin story, and the ending. So Big Finish have given us a closed loop.
Yep.
Which they very rarely do. But what's great about this is because then you can just tell stories from any point
Within that.
Yeah, exactly. So we do kind of get the idea, although it's not explicitly stated because obviously at the time of recording we didn't know like what was coming. Sacha Dhawan hadn't been hired yet, hadn't been cast yet. So we've got the Lumiat regenerating in this random place with people going, oh, what's happening over there?
Love it. I also do love that Missy's like, I hope you know that you're not going to be so good next time.
Yeah, exactly.
So we get told this Lumiat is regenerating back into a Master who is not going to be nice like the Lumiat was, which is, you know, a Big Finish's way of kind of being like, don't expect maybe another Lumiat.
Yeah. Well, the Lumiat, like the Valeyard, is an aberration. It's not meant to happen.
I can really see why you would say that the Metacrisis Doctor is now the Valeyard. Listening to this and learning about how the Lumiat is the Master's version of the Valeyard, I can see the train of thought as to the Doctor born of anger and in the middle of battle, then going into an Elysium field, say, and turning into the Valeyard. I can see that now.
I mean, look, I maintain the reason he's the Valeyard is because he goes to the other universe and Rose dies, and then he just loses it.
Yeah, and he's already got all that within him from when he regenerated. So yeah, I can absolutely see that.
Although there is a fan rumor going around at the moment. Warning, wild speculation alert. So whether or not it's true or not.
Love a good fan rumor.
Well, yeah. Look, so the rumor going around apparently was it is a leak in inverted commas, and apparently it is from the same person who leaked stuff that we knew to be true from the most recent specials.
I'm on the edge of my seat. Yeah,
that Russell T Davis's plan is that apparently the Doctor is heading towards becoming the Valeyard, and then 14 is going to have to like help make the Doctor good again with the help. Basically, I don't think it sounds credible.
Yeah, I'd be very wary of things like this.
But one of the things that does sound credible is the fact that Russell T Davis loves an Avengers moment.
He does. He just had one, but yes, he does.
I mean, it wasn't a particularly big one. Like, he wants another Journey's End. Like,
Yep.
that's what he wants.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, maybe.
I don't know.
Wheel them all back out.
Literally, just
Yeah,
all
just on sack trucks. Speaking of
Anyone order Tegan Javanka?
Speaking of wheeling them all back out, Doctor Once and Future, a series that features the Lumiat again.
Once and Future, Part 6, Time Lord Immemorial. Seamless. We won't tell you anything about the plot of Once and Future because it is a great series and I don't want to spoil it for anyone. And you do kind of need to listen to all of them in basically quick succession to really fully appreciate it, I think.
Yeah, these are binge worthy. I binged them and I really loved going from story to story to story.
Yeah. I think it copped a lot of flack when it was coming out because it was coming out monthly and people were having trouble.
The overarching thing is the degeneration. So I think between every episode, the Doctor and other Time Lords are in flux of their regenerations and they're changing between faces and those act as little segues between stories. So I think when you listen to these back to back, they are very nice.
Yeah.
I could see how it might be a bit jarring to remember where you were last time coming into it, but they flow very well together.
So this story features not the 9th incarnation of the Doctor, but the 9th face of the Doctor.
Yep, Christopher Eccleston.
Christopher Eccleston plays the Doctor in this story, alongside David Warner, who plays the Doctor in this story. And then we have Liv Chenka, my favorite companion, S-tier companion, Liv Chenka. She is the best. And what's great is they put Liv Chenka up against the Lumiat, and the Lumiat, who is very serious and looks child presentery, up against the sardonic Liv Chenka, is just a beautiful pairing.
Yes, this story does a fantastic job at putting the Lumiat, who is all bubbles and rainbows and sunshine, up against three quite not dry, but cynical, tough, confident characters that just have no time for her.
You mentioned like bubbly. Okay, the Lumiat's TARDIS.
Yes, I've got it written here. Pink and yellow sparkling beach hut.
Yep.
It's an eyesore, according to the other characters. Like,
someone said a unicorn, a rainbow vomited on a unicorn is what she calls it.
She tells there's some danger happening, and the Lumiat tells Liv, like, quick, into my TARDIS. And she's like, where is it? And she's like, it's that one over there. Oh, the beach hut? Oh. You know, fantastic.
Head for that beach hut. Which one? Pink and yellow. Sparkly. Like a rainbow threw up on a unicorn. Yes, that's my TARDIS. TARDIS.
So they get taken to the hall of the Time Lord Immemorial, where through a convoluted series of events, the Doctor needs to be there with the Doctor, his alternate self, his best friend, his enemy, and a witness.
Yes. This is a prophecy, a Gallifrey prophecy that we come to realize that they're fulfilling.
Yeah. And so there's this whole consternation about who's who and what the characters are. And they assume that Liv is the Doctor's best friend, which Liv is one of the Doctor's greatest friends. They very quickly realize that the Lumiat being there means that the Doctor's best friend and enemy is there at the same time, which is a really insightful thing, that the Master is the Doctor's best friend.
Yeah, I think that's true. When they were doing this bit, so they need, the Doctor, his alternate self, best friend, best enemy, and a witness. So I thought they were going to get really meta, like Big Finish often do with the audio format. And I thought it was going to be, we've got 9, and then we've got Warner Doctor, and then we have Liv, his best friend, and then we have his best enemy. And I thought they were going to make us, the listener, the witness.
Yeah.
That's where I thought it was going, that they were going to allude to.
That would have been good. I would like that.
They would have been like, no, there is someone else here witnessing this. And we, the listener, would have gone, oh, it's me.
I'm sorry, it's just nice when you hear something that is very clearly going to be the trailer. It's like, that's it there.
So one thing I love about this is they don't string us along for too long. Early on, 9 figures out that this is the Master, which is wild, because here we are getting Christopher Eccleston's Doctor meeting another Time Lord, because obviously in his canon he believes them all to be gone. But I suppose this is a special anniversary audio special occasion.
Well, he forgets.
Yeah, he forgets at the end. So, but he learns who it is. he has zero time for her, even though she's clearly the only other Time Lord that he's aware of.
It's like, not you, anyone but you.
Yeah, like she's just kind of be like, hi, Doctor, we're going to be best friends forever and ever and ever. And he's like, get away from me. Go stand over there.
Like the last time he, as the Doctor, met the Master was during the Time War. So we're talking Derek Jacobi here. No one wants to meet that again. Like, the War Master is the most sadistic the Master has ever been. In fact, the last time that the War Master met the Eighth Doctor, I'm pretty sure the War Master stole the Eighth Doctor's body. And
That's right.
They swapped bodies. No one wants to be reliving that.
I don't think any of the Doctors would get along with the Lumiat. Maybe 5 might, but the other Doctors, the Doctor is a cynical man. He's rough. He's just committed genocide. You know, he isn't nice. So when the Master's like, I'm nice, so we can be friends now, it's like, no.
It's like no one wants to be friends with that sort of person.
No, like no one does. Like, you know, the canon love interest of the Doctor is River Song. And she isn't nice. She's also, you know, a rough and cynical person. Like, Lumiat, no one's like this. Why did you think they would all love you? They all hate you. If anything, this is almost worse.
It reminds me of that Mitchell and Webb sketch where they go through the magic wardrobe to Narnia and they come out. It's just like, we'll take the wardrobe. Oh, it's a bit Christian, isn't it? It's a bit nice.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what?
Well, I don't know. It's a bit
what?
It's a bit nice. It's a bit Christian.
Also, I love it when Nine, the very moment he realizes who the Lumiat is, it is exactly like the 5 Doctors. I'm here to help you. Why?
Yeah,
What
what's
are you
in it
doing?
for you?
Yeah, what are you doing? It's such that moment when Ainley is trying to convince the other Doctors that he is good, and they're just, nope, suspicious, something's up, what are you playing at? And the Lumiat gets frustrated just in the same way that the Tremas Master got frustrated and that they won't believe him or her.
So it's an interesting thing about recognition. The Ninth Doctor kind of recognizes, doesn't really. When Missy meets the Lumiat, she assumes it's the Doctor because she can tell it's a Time Lord.
Yeah.
And so she assumes if it's a Time Lord and it's a nice person, it must be the Doctor. Like, there's nothing like...
Liv Chenka has a fantastic line in this audio where she says, the Master would recognize the Doctor anywhere, but the Doctor doesn't ever recognize the Master. Like, that's what Liv Chenka's take is from this whole situation. And the Lumiat's actually quite devastated by that. I think that Liv Chenka's take on that relationship is, like, spot on.
Yeah.
Because we do always get the Doctor saying he'd recognize the Master no matter what, but that never does.
Yeah, exactly.
Never recognizes any of the disguises, never have Tremas Marker walk in the door and the Doctor just go, that's the Master.
Yeah. This is an interesting point, as you say, like where things fall. Like, where does this fall for Liv Chenka? Because obviously we know that she's traveling with the Eighth Doctor and Helen, because that's mentioned, but it's before she meets her partner, Tanya.
Yes.
So I want to know, is it before or after it must be before, because Liv Chenka meets the War Master and the War Master shoots her repeatedly. Surely you wouldn't want to talk to the Master after that.
Yeah, so it must be before that.
It must be
otherwise
before that,
you would know
yeah.
exactly who that is. And Liv probably wouldn't put up with that.
Yeah. No, at where Liv is now, probably the worst she has to put up with is like the 9 and the 11.
I do love that when they go into these like room that's like the sands of time, the sands are like creating these murals of events, and the Doctor's like, this is events from my life. Look, here I am doing this, and here I am doing this. And Lumiat's like, those are all adventures with me.
Yeah,
I'm there too. Those are our adventures
See,
together.
Axons, that's me.
That's us. And he's like,
Poor Lumiat. So this is the thing. The Lumiat in the Lumiat, the story with Missy, is a bit of a comic character. In this story, even though she's a thoroughly nice, as you said, like it's very difficult to give her depth, they managed to actually, I think, give her a lot of depth in this story. She wants to be good. She wants the Doctor to appreciate that she's good now. And with the degenerations that are happening, I think it's probably one of the most gut-wrenching endings in this whole series, because it ends with the Lumiat being degenerated. And she's going, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be this anymore. I do not want to be the Master.
Yeah, and it comes after a really sad moment where like everything's sort of wrapped up and they're all heading back to their own timelines and spots. And the Doctor's like, all right, Liv, the Lumiat will drop you home. And the Lumiat's like, well, no, we can go together now. I'm good. We can go. And he's like, no. I'm going away in my own TARDIS. You're dropping
Plus,
her
he
off.
immediately forgets her.
Yeah.
You feel so bad for the Lumiat in this story. You realize that as much as she is this sort of silly comic character, that the Master finally becomes a good person and the Doctor doesn't love her.
Yeah, no one else is as pure as her. Too good, too pure for the world. Like, the Doctor is too cynical, especially this regeneration, coming off the bat of what he's just done.
And I think it's evidence that she's trying. Like, she is genuinely trying to be a better person. That maybe she is not as sweetness and light as she thinks, but she's actively being a better person because she wants to be. I mean, hence the slip-ups of, like, saying nasty things to Missy. I feel so bad for the Lumiat in this story because finally the Master is on the side of good and the Doctor doesn't care.
Yeah, because like the world is not good. It is not pure. The Lumiat is literally the perfect avatar of goodness. Everything stripped out, pure good, but that's not what the universe is. So she can't exist in it really because there's no room for that. You're innately suspicious of someone who is super ultra nice because it's not a natural thing that we ever really come across. So the Doctor is suspicious. He doesn't like her because he doesn't understand, or he can't understand why she's so nice. But she doesn't have the capability to understand that not everyone would think like her because in her mind, you can just be perfect.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm too good a person, but I listened to this story and when it got to the end and just her really sort of quiet, I don't want to be this anymore. I had a bit of a cry.
Oh.
It's such a sad piece.
Please. No. I don't want to go back to being... No!
Like, I hope we get to see more of the Lumiat because I feel like there are more stories to be told with the Lumiat. I mean, even if we don't see anything though, I think we've been given a really well-rounded. They gave her the beginning and the end, and then in this story, they gave her the meat.
It's written by the same person as well, this story.
It is written by the Lisa McMullin.
Yes, so that, the same author has handled it twice. So clearly she had some more she wanted to do with this and say. I do think also, just to back on to your comment about how sad the ending is, especially when we know that this Lumiat is a degeneration, so must be the degeneration of the Spy Master, which means that she knows what's coming, the massacre of Gallifrey and all the evils that the Spy Master presumably commits. She knows, so she knows that going back to the Master also means going back to all those atrocities that she committed.
Yeah, it is very sad. Like, she's bouncing up and down her timeline, same as the Doctor. And, well, I mean, we don't know whether she's going forward to that, but we can probably assume at this point. And I mean, we can assume that the Missy that was in the story beforehand was probably this same bouncing around. The way they handled the degenerations and the regenerations and in this story, I think basically they made a decision very early on going, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
That was basically, it's just like they're there, they've got their clothes, they've got their sonic screwdrivers, they're bouncing. One interesting little thing that I've written in my notes that I'd forgotten, to give this sort of feeling of the Lumiat and the Doctor. I don't know if you noticed it, but every time the Lumiat appears in the story The Lumiat, her incidental music has the middle eight of the Doctor Who theme behind it.
I did hear that, yeah.
Yeah, which is just a nice touch, I think.
Yeah.
I like the middle eight. You don't need, like, there are some versions of it that you don't hear, like they just lose it. Like Sega Nakanola's version, he didn't have the middle eight, which is shame.
Limfest. Oh, try not to blame yourselves.
I do want to mention one thing, and it's completely ridiculous, and I think I sent you that note in the Discord.
Yeah.
At the timestamp, 40 minutes and 12 seconds.
Drop the beat.
It's just like, I call on the sands of temporal power, and like this beat just starts building. And I thought he was just going to say, to drop the beat, because then the beat drops. I don't know. That's silly.
Yeah, no, I liked that.
Did you go back and listen?
No, I didn't. But you tell you what, if you say the line, then I will actually put the music in and.
Speak once more, Doctor. The window is closing. I call upon the collective force of temporal power
to drop the beat. Ciarán, were you attending carefully?
So for like the last 6 episodes, I thought I had, but the proof is in the pudding, and I not. Okay, so let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, what 4 Delgado stories are called back to?
Oh, so many. Because I mean, of course, like Missy goes into the Black Archive. So hold on, are we just doing it in the Lumiat or in both stories?
Just in the Lumiat.
Just in the Lumiat. Okay. Not KKK. No, not KKK. Claws of Axos.
No.
Terror of the Autons.
Yes.
Sea Devils.
Yes. You were right about the Black Archive.
Tom Tit.
Yeah.
Tom Tit.
So the Time Monster.
Time Monster. Yep. Just yelling and pointing at you. Tom Tit. And the Mind of Evil.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So also other things mentioned are also Saxon and the Movie Master. So the Eye of Harmony and the Saxon Election are both also mentioned. But they're not Delgado ones. But I just wanted to ask again, I know I asked this question nearly every single time, but I think it's a running theme within this series in that we started with Delgado as our first episode. And then constantly throughout so many of these audios and adventures and episodes, they always refer back to his episodes as the examples.
Yeah.
There are so many episodes we could mention that ainly, adventures that he did, but we rarely do. We it's these ones. It's always the Autons, the Sea Devils, and the Axons.
Yes, remember the King John problem?
I guess that's maybe the Delgados are the most iconic, but I think that brings it back as to why Delgado remains to be such a front and center master.
Yeah.
Let's run down our greatest hit, shall we? Nesting Consciousness, Invasion of Earth. Not exactly a resounding success. The attempt to instigate World War III and hold an entire galaxy to ransom.
Oh, but you recall the embarrassing stuff, yeah? The Auton shambles, the Harold Saxon fiasco. Sure, you don't remember this conversation, but I bet you remember the blinking Sea Devils.
What events of their lives are shown in the hall?
Axons.
Yep.
Yep. Sea Devils?
No.
Saxon? No.
No.
Oh, God. No.
Okay, so there's the Deadly Assassin.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
The Claws of Axos. The Caves of Androzani. Time Controller. Utopia. The Nethersphere. And the Destruction of Gallifrey.
Okay, some of those were only the Doctor, though.
Yes, which I wouldn't have needed you to get, but that is the full list.
Okay, cool. I was I was just like, Caves of Androzani?
I would have just accepted Destruction of Gallifrey, Utopia, and Claws, and Deadly Assassin.
Yeah.
The assassination in the Panopticon. And this, Axos, Androzani, the Time Controller, these are all scenes from my life, my lives. Some of them not yet lived. Utopia, the Nethersphere, the destruction of Gallifrey. It's all me.
Just you, Mr. I Am?
No, not just me.
Right, what is the name of the Lumiat's cybercat?
Is it like F.E. line? No.
It's a typical cat name.
Tiddles.
Yep.
Oh, lovely.
It's on your... Oh, gosh, that's going to ouch.
Oh, there you are, Tiddles.
Hello again, Doctor. What's new, pussycat?
How does the Lumiat describe the situation that caused the death before her?
A bit more poetic.
Yes.
That's right. Was it the Doctor? No, it was a bit more poetic than that.
Who killed me?
Not the Doctor. It was more poetic than that.
What song does the Lumiat sing to Livchenko?
I don't know. All I've got in my head is the fact that Missy sings "Boom Shake Shake the Room" at one point in the story, and it's not that.
It's the wrong episode.
It's the wrong episode too. Yeah. I mean, she's nice, isn't she? So it's got to be something from The Sound of Music.
No, it's I do like to be beside the seaside.
Oh, I do like to be beside the
Which
sea.
Is infuriating if I'm Liv reading a book and this nice woman comes up and starts singing. That's infuriating. And I love how angry Liv is at that moment. And the Lumiat's just like, oh, la 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 la.
I do like to be beside the seaside.
Do you?
Sun, sea, and
Silence.
Oh my goodness gracious, where?
I do like to be beside the seaside. Oh, do you? I love Liv Chenka is my favorite companion. Like her run with the Eighth Doctor is probably the best Eighth Doctor stories that have been made, in my opinion.
Fair.
Yeah.
Right, last question. How does the Doctor describe the Lumiat's TARDIS? The unicorn monstrosity was Liv.
Yeah. Technicolor Nightmare?
I'll give you that. That's pretty close. There's a couple of other words missing.
Oh, okay. Hideous Technicolor Nightmare?
Technicolor candy floss monstrosity.
Technicolor Candy Floss Monstrosity. Okay.
And one more. He says two things about the TARDIS.
Oh. No idea.
Mr. Whippy TARDIS.
That's right. I remember him saying that. Yeah.
Liv, go with her in the Mr. Whippy TARDIS.
Hey, you're 2 TARDISes. Whose is the Technicolor candy floss monstrosity?
that would be mine.
What's that meant to be? A cry for help?
It's a beach hut.
It's an eyesore!
Just because some of us have an eye for a jollier colour palette.
Jollier? That paintwork's positively hysterical.
Well, I like it.
And that's the main thing. She'll give you a lift in a Mr. Whippy TARDIS.
Poor Lumiat. She's just trying to have fun. She's trying to self-express with her TARDIS and everyone just hates it.
Which just goes to show that the Doctor is not as nice as people think. Because
Yeah.
he does not accept people changing. He does not.
I think if you ask the Doctor who do you want to go on an adventure with, the Lumiat or the regular Master, he'd probably pick the regular Master.
Also, that story shows something. It's really interesting, and I suppose if you haven't listened to any of the Ninth Doctor audios, would be kind of jarring. But in the Ninth Doctor audios, because the Ninth Doctor doesn't have a companion and travels alone in most of his stories, he talks to the TARDIS, and the TARDIS like creaks and groans in response, and it happens in this story too.
Yes, actually, I did notice that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was fantastic.
He actually has a whole chat with the TARDIS, and it's because they just needed him to say, like, actually have some like back and forth with someone.
I know, I'm sorry. I promise I won't do it again. I know.
How did I do on that one?
I'm going to give you half a mark for the Lumiat TARDIS question. And then, so 1, 2, 3.5 out of 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
3.5 out of 6. I'm not getting any better.
The audios are hard to do questions
They
for because you need to be, listening, I suppose, attending carefully 100% of the time.
Okay, what's the it's the Lumiat, so we can't say a death count, really.
No, I mean, Missy manages to kill one Bertram and then the picnic people and the Viking invade. So Missy's got a typical Big Finish outing in this episode because this is all partly a Missy.
What she say is a wee skirmish over a Scotch egg.
Yeah, so, she has a typical Big Finish outing, but yes, the Lumiat does not kill anyone. So there's no death count here, really.
Oh, yeah, we also didn't talk about when they go to the Black Archive and that wonderful line of just like, oh, your brain might start to leak out your ears. If you feel anything trickling down your chin, just don't worry, don't scream.
I've got a headache. Oh, just shush up.
You won't have forgotten much, just dates and, words for things.
And taste of strawberries.
Yeah,
That's
the
the
taste
example.
of strawberries.
I love that.
What an awful thing to forget.
So,
Amber, what did we learn?
that after the events of Old Enough in Time, Missy is apparently so lost that she decides to use an Elysium field to bring about a regeneration that expels all the goodness from her being so that she can be just evil, but it goes wrong. And we end up with the Lumiat, who is the opposite, and he's a avatar of good and sickly amount.
Sickly sweet, yes.
Yes. And the Lumiat is doing good in the universe for once.
Genuinely is, like, going out and almost, as you said, almost just basically going around and undoing all of the things like that Missy or the Masters had done. It reminds me of I don't think you've listened to them, but the stories with, I believe they say that the actual word for them is the collective instead of just saying the 11, the 9, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So in the stories where there's the 8 is the good one. He manages to quieten all the voices in his head, and he manages to do good and be a good person. That's what the Lumiat felt like to me. It is like trying to do good and doesn't want to go back to being the person that they were.
Yeah, and we learned that the universe kind of isn't ready or right for that.
Yeah.
For this character, unfortunately. It should be. This should be the perfect world where even the Doctor is like this and they do a lot of stuff, but it's just not.
She should have gone on play school, really. That would have...
Intergalactic play school.
There's a pink bear in there.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We learned that these events take place before Missy meets 12. So heading into everything that happens with him, she knows looming in the future what's to come, which I think is quite interesting when we do consider that the Doctor is trying to teach her to do good.
Yeah.
But she knows that that's not what she wants. We learned that the Lumiat is very quickly... Well, I guess we don't know how long the Lumiat's around for. We learned that the Lumiat, unfortunately, reaches their end very quickly at the hands of Missy.
Yep.
Missy does not want this being running around, saying that they're them. So
it's all just bad advertising, really, isn't it?
Yes, and we believe this currently to be the regeneration going into the Spy Master.
Yes.
So
I believe so. Yeah.
Putting to rest the whole, which order are they all in? Nope, this is the order.
Yeah, I genuinely think it is Missy, then the Lumiat, then the Spy Master.
Yes, so Sim, Missy, Lumiat, Spy Master, that's all sort of tied up in a bow.
Yeah.
Which is good because it's so hard with the Master to pin down sometimes where things fall into place. But this audio gave us a very good look. We learned that the Doctor actually doesn't want the Master to be a good person. That I suppose it's the possibility of them being good and joining them that the Doctor likes.
So is that sort of a bit self-serving? Like, is that the...
Well, now
the
I can't fix you.
Yeah, exactly. Oof. That's... yeah, that's a harsh one to think about, isn't it? That the Doctor is attracted to the rehabilitation more than the...
Yeah, but not with River Song, so not always. Only with the Master. Because... he's not trying to fix River. He can easily engage in a relationship.
No, he just basically ignores the worst excesses of River.
Yes. We learned that the periphery characters all once again know what's going on between these two. And because Liv pins it down almost exactly, which is great. And the Master and the Doctor both remain pretty oblivious to actually what is going on between the two of them.
So basically the Doctor just likes bad boys. That's...
Yeah, absolutely. We learned that the Master TARDIS isn't working.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Just as an aside, Mark would probably love to go with the Lumiat. He'd probably get over his depression if he went with her.
He would have lived a happy life for a TARDIS.
Yeah, where does the Lumiat TARDIS end up at the end of the episode? Not with the Lumiat. Missy doesn't leave her with it, so there's another Master TARDIS just flying around in space somewhere without them.
Yeah, the Lumiat wasn't using a TARDIS, was she? She was she was teleporting around the place.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, I think it was sort of you hear her leaving and you hear a sort of.
Ah, right. There's no TARDIS sound effect.
No, there's no sound. It's a sort of Star Trek-y beam me up sound effect.
Wait.
Well, is that it? I think that's it.
That's all.
Oh, actually, there is one wonderful line, and I want to... I suppose it's a good way to end, really. This wonderful line that Missy has that I think encapsulates the entire thing. I always look to extend my life. I have never sought to change it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a great line, isn't it? And I think it shows a real understanding of the Master.
Yeah. I also love there is another Missy line that's a bit more playful than that, but it's when the Lumiat first shows up and she thinks it's a Doctor. And she's like, oh, have I disappointed you again? Have I disappointed the Academy and the Time Lords?
But most importantly, have I disappointed myself?
Yeah, just going through the motions, the stock standard responses to being caught out for being bad.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't buy about this Missy interaction with the Doctor is that we believe that she has not met 12 yet. she would reveal herself to him in a much more convoluted way, like we get with Death in Heaven.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the way that you reveal yourself to a brand new doctor with a brand new face, a picnic war.
Well, I don't think she was fully expecting.
Which is what I think is the thing. It's not, this wasn't attention to call the doctor. This was just some fun with picnic goers.
I love the fact, though, that when Missy meets another Time Lord, she instantly assumes it's the doctor. Whereas the doctor never knows it's the master. The master always assumes it's the doctor.
Yes.
And it's sometimes wrong.
Which is fantastic, because we will get in the next episode the doctor saying, I've got it down to 3 people it could be.
Yes. I love that. And also, there is a great line in Time Lord Immemorial where the Lumiat says, no offense, but you're not my doctor. And David Warner says, you're not my master.
Yeah, that's great.
Wonderful. We should do a segment at the end of the show that's just good quotes.
Yeah, good lines we like.
Good lines we like. All right, that's it. We're done. That's all for this week's episode of Please Attend Carefully. Thank you so much for listening. We hope that with each episode you come to understand, appreciate, and maybe even obey the master. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to be updated on new episodes. Amber, how can listeners get in contact with us?
They can email us at pleaseattendcarefully@gmail.com. Send us an ask on Tumblr at pleaseattendcarefully. Follow us on Instagram at pleaseattendcarefully. And you can find out more on our website at pzinner.com.au/shows/attend.
That's right. As of this series, you can also find our episodes on YouTube, and we now have a Patreon featuring exclusive subscriber content with tiers starting at just $2. I've been Ciarán.
And I've been Amber. We leave you with a clue for the next episode.
We hope you'll be tuning in. After all, it can't hurt you to listen, can it?
Going out somewhere nice, sir? Yes. I'm visiting friends. Their names are Jago and Lightfoot.